Hi, I'm Melissa Dusenberry. I'm here with Debra Navarro, whose jewelry designs are unlike anything else. Hi Debra, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm so glad to be here and so glad to share the story with all of you.
First, I want to ask you, how did you find your way to jewelry design?
I've always been a very artistic person. I didn't go to school to study it, it was just something I always did. I literally discovered jewelry about the age of 30. I was cutting commercials for a jewelry store and he said, come work for me. That was the perfect combination of science and art, and I immediately fell in love with it. I got my graduate gemology degree. I learned the science of appraising, evaluation, and I worked with jewelry in all kinds of ways, always wanting to make my own. 10 years later, I saw a documentary about mining, and I feel very fortunate was able to go and visit those mines myself with the subject of the film, Roger Derry. I didn't go on that trip with a clear purpose. I just wanted to learn about gemstones. But what I really learned was the heart and the soul and the communities that are built around these gems in places that have so little to work with, little knowledge, little farming tools. And it's done just with sheer grit and determination and a passion to find these beautiful gems. And I went home and thought, they have less than I have. I can't do it because I don't have education, or I can't do it because I don't know the techniques, and the chances are so slim. But I look at these East African miners, no matter what their job was, they didn't let that hold them back. They just kept moving forward with what they had. These people taught me a lesson, so I jumped off the cliff and said, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to figure out how to do it.
Well, I'm so glad you did. Looking at your jewels, it's very striking that the gemstones really are at the fore.
Oh, they are. You can't not see them. You can't not embrace their beauty. The things that come out of this ground, of this earth, that natural shape, it's pretty amazing.
Well, it is the science and the beauty combined that is so remarkably special about your work. And you allow the gemstones and the people behind them kind of shine and tell their stories.
I started making the pieces, and the only thing that really kept resonating with me was these certain individuals that I got to spend time with over a few years and got to know them and their story and their struggles and their joys. And I just realized I'm here among friends, and these friends have a struggle that I don't have, and I want so badly to do what I can to give back. And I thought I can do this through my jewelry. Certain pieces just reminded me of people. Suni is a tanzanite miner, and I created this really strong and sturdy design for a very strong gemstone because he's just solid for his family. And so certain characteristics of pieces, his wife is Pia. She's a soft-spoken, very sweet and kind woman. She volunteers her time teaching at a school for Maasai children, and it's really a school that Gem's built. The miners and people that I would travel with would pool together funds in a non-formal way to help, and that's kind of where Gem Legacy got its legs on the ground, is seeing the need and that people want to help.
To sort of put it in a context of what we're used to, these people are really entrepreneurs, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
And not only are they male entrepreneurs, they're women entrepreneurs.
More and more.
And I love this story about Esther, who owns and operates her own mine, and I think it's called the Precious
Women of Mining. Esther used to be married to a wonderful leader in the community, especially in the gemstone community, a Keno, and he had a garnet mine. He tragically passed away and left Esther, his young wife, with 3 young children, and suddenly she had to care for this gemstone business. She jumped in with the help of people who were determined to help her succeed. Today, Esther is thriving. She no longer operates the mine, but she has joined with other women, all of whom are widows and mothers, and they are collectively called the Precious Women of Mining. These women come together, they take turns with child care responsibilities.
Oh, right.
Right,
So
so
they
they-
really do support each other, women supporting women.
They are women supporting
and
women.
It's already built in.
You can't imagine their excitement in seeing what they do, and from a year's time when I go back, the difference that they've made as far as how far down into the ground they've been able to go.
Right.
You know, there's still so many things they need because they're working with very primitive tools, and we just imagine what they could do with more modern tools. But right now they're working right alongside men doing the same work.
Hooray for women's equality.
And let me
Day.
tell you, it's not easy. This is physical work. I have video of me trying to, I'll just take the hammer and hit the hammer and boom, boom. That hammer was so heavy.
Right.
But they do it. They
Power women.
They are.
I love it. Well, that's a really good segue to talk about how your stones, they're not faceted in the way that we traditionally see gemstones, and they're maybe not even polished in some cases.
Right.
And I'd love to hear a little bit more about the material and how you choose when you polish, when you don't.
On my first trip, I bought stones. Of course I was going to facet them. That's what everybody does with them. And I came back with that group of stones, and I had them faceted by the precision faceter Roger Derry. They are beautiful, but I have yet to design anything with them. I don't know why. And then I would look at the stones, oh, these beautiful green savorites, these really incredible shapes, and this is what I thought told the story. This is what differentiates these gems from all the other gems you see out in the market. This is how they come out of the ground. When it came down to cutting them, I wanted to showcase something and give you a peek inside the stone. It's almost like getting a peek inside the world of mining and the community of love and hard work that these gems come from. And so I wanted to put one flat facet on them, maybe two. It depends on the stone. I had a conversation with Josie. He's a very good friend of mine, and I buy gemstones from him. His nickname is G, and I have rings named after him.
These are them,
Yes.
right?
Yes, these are the G rings. They're stackable, smaller stones, about a carat in size, and you can collect and stack them. But I had a conversation with G saying, give me a word, a Swahili word, when the person is wearing this piece of jewelry and they see that flat facet. I want them to know that that has a meaning, that it's not just to be there to be pretty. It's here with a higher purpose, to do something good, and that is to help develop the gemstone industry in East Africa and grow along with the rest of the world and able to make a living from what they're so passionate about.
What I love about your work too is that not only is it beautiful and so uniquely so, you will not find anything
They're all one of a kind.
like this. There is such wonderful social impact that is really and truly making a meaningful change in the world, and that's something I'm very passionate about, and that's why it was so wonderful to meet you, because I thought, oh, she's my girl.
She's my girl.
Truly, you can't possibly appreciate how special these stones are unless you look at them in person. I mean, I'll do my best. You see rough rawness, and there's such great beauty in that. Again, as I say, with inclusions, it's like they're people, but you gotta own your inner strength, your own inner beauty, and it's different, and sometimes it's not flawless, and that's okay. And I think that is really what is so powerful about these stones, is that it's really a personal reflection of your values and what really means something to you. I just get so excited when I look at these stones, especially the necklaces. You know, we were talking earlier about talisman. And
I love that.
and I feel like being able to touch the stone and know the hands that mine this are genuine, kind, thoughtful people that are admirable for doing what they do. That is really powerful. It reminds you what you're made of and who you are, as much as where this special gemstone came from.
I use the term polish and grit, and I feel like that's what we're made of. Where, I mean, look at Melissa, look how beautiful and polished she is, and inside we have grit. We know what we want, and we are fighting hard as women to find our place in the society. This jewelry has polish, it has grit. I want you to feel that and know that you got this. That energy is being passed on from people halfway across the world that have that same spirit of grit.
And I also love this tenda cut. And I think a lot of people may not know what a tenda cut is. I certainly didn't know, and I would love to hear you explain it.
Okay, I know it's a new concept. I want you to know it has a higher purpose. And as I was brainstorming with G on what is a word, what is a way for me to express this, one of the words he said was tenda. Tenda is a verb meaning to do. And he said when you use it in this sense, that it means to do good. The story doesn't end after you buy it. That's when the story just begins. I call that flat facet. This is a tenda cut, and that means to do good.
You can also see inside the stone a little bit better with it. Some of these are very flat naturally as they come out of the ground. If Mother Nature actually cut them in half, or if they just fell out of the material that way.
Yes, they can naturally cleave, and as the earth is shifting and moving over time, they'll have natural cleavages. That's why the larger gemstones are more rare, because for them to survive intact at that size, it's extremely rare. The gemstones I buy are among the top 5% of quality of gemstones coming out of the ground. Yet still inside, you can see gem cutters would cut these areas away maybe. But I want to leave them in there, and I want you to be able to see what's really happening, what differentiates each gemstone from the next. Because once they're cut and you have the fine gems, you see beautiful color and you see beautiful artistry of cut. But what you don't see often are those beautiful little imperfections. And it's just like us, our little imperfections. Is your nose too big? Are your eyes too close together? All of these things that we might stress about, but really are what make us unique and special.
Thank you so much for sharing your special jewelry with me, Debra. I am so in love with these pieces.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I love talking to you. I love watching your feed. Thank you for sharing stories like mine and other designers like me.
Oh, thank you. With great pleasure.